Hi, all, and welcome to Data Lens, the short series where we talk about market research and the outdoor hospitality industry. Today, I'm your host, Scott Barr, the president of Care Consulting Group. With over 35 years of market research experience, Scott has a wealth of knowledge to share, and I'm here to ask him some questions that you want to know. So, let's hop in. On today's episode, we'll be talking about how to conduct a competitive analysis for your business. So, with that, let's hop on in. So, Scott, first question of the day. Why is competitive analysis important?
It's super important for, especially when you consider if you're a campground or glamping operator, or honestly any business really. It's without knowing what the competition is doing, you're not going to know how you're positioned in the mind of the consumer, the guest, your customer. How do they view you? Because you do not exist in a vacuum. So, if assuming that you understand that there is going to be some competition out there, it's rare for people not to have some kind of competition. You should know something about it. You should know something about your marketplace and who's there and what they're all about.
I think people find that super helpful. But so kind of on that same train of thought, so where you are looking at, say, competitive analysis and looking at those around you, are there any specific tools or specific kind of key insights that you leverage to help, say, everyday people in their marketing?
In this case, really, most business owners probably have an understanding of who their competition is. So we'll just kind of, get that out of the way already. They probably know at least the names of these competitors. They may have a cursory knowledge of what they're all about and what they do, but most truly lack a depth of understanding of who the competition is and what they're all about. And first and foremost, the first thing to do is to identify who really is your competition. And the way you do that is to, one, ask your guests if they considered other businesses. If you're a campground, did they go to other campgrounds? If so, why? For an example, if you are a full service campground that has full hookups, and maybe you have cabins and yurts and a mix of different types of sites, and you have a lot of services and amenities, is your competition a state park that may have just rustic sites? It may for a certain part of your guests, but not all, because many of these folks who travel and say in large RVs that want full hookups, in many cases the state park campground does not offer that. So the state park is somewhat of a competitor, but not really. The competitor is the organization that matches you the most, the one that is playing in the same area as you. And that's your first step. You need to go out, you need to ask your guests, you need to go search, whether it's get on the internet, do some searches, use some AI tools to ask what, for example, you could use an AI tool to say what campgrounds within a 50-mile radius of my location offer pull-through RV sites, have full service cabins, and have entertainment on site and a swimming pool, etc. And AI is going to come back and probably tell you that. And they're going to tell you which ones offer those. So that's really kind of your first step. And that's the first tool that you can use. Again, asking your guests is a great way. I think that's the best way to start because you get it right from them. But that to me is kind of how you start that process. And from there, also you can use the AI tool to ask a follow-up question. And that is, what campgrounds in the area are offering more services and amenities than I offer? And so now you have a secondary set of questions. And the third would be, and what are they charging? So there's a very simple example of how you could start a competitive analysis. Again, ask your guests and use 3 basic questions on AI, and you'll have more information now than you did a few minutes ago.
Awesome. So yeah, really leveraging AI is quite a helpful tool. Yeah, so that kind of brings you to the second question here is, and I think you can wrap this into some of the comments you had made previously, but essentially, what data should you collect about your competitors? What's the most helpful?
I think the most important thing to look at is, as I mentioned before, the overlay of what do you have and what do they have. So you're almost looking at a matrix of yourself and your competitor, so you can see swimming pool, yes or no. We have one. We don't have one. Do they have one? Do they have a clubhouse? Do you have a clubhouse? What? So that's the services amenities part. But also look at rate. What's the ADR for the different site types that they're offering? Because the point there would be, are they undercutting you? Do they offer a lot of the same services and amenities, but they're charging $20 less a night? Or are they charging more? Are you potentially leaving money on the table because you're offering, your sites are $20 less, so maybe you're only $10 less, if that still fits with your model. So understanding where they're at in terms of things like, what are they charging? How full are they? And that's a hard thing to get sometimes, but sometimes just doing a mystery shop on your competitors is a great way to get information. Go online, try booking a site, see what it's like, see what the process is like, see what they have available, see how they position themselves. That'll also give you an idea of what their occupancy is at any given time. Because if you can't get a site there, you know that they're going to be, especially a certain site type, you know that they're going to be fairly full. But if it's easy and there's a bunch of sites open, you know that they aren't. So, that's a great way to gather some intelligence. Don't do anything that would cost your competitor money, by inconveniencing them in any way. But there's nothing wrong with going online and looking at their website and going through the process of booking a site, but not actually booking it unless you plan to stay there.
Okay.
And by the way, staying there is also part of competitive intelligence. It's not a bad idea. That completes the mystery shop. Do the whole process and stay there. You'll get a lot of good information that way. Just don't let them know it's you.
No, that's a good point. And then you get the full experience too. It's really being on site and just kind of see how it compares, and it's different. You can really take some serious notes. So firsthand competitive intelligence.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So I guess from just a business perspective, how do you position your business to stand out in the market using that data that you collected?
Yep. This, again, is going back to that matrix, that overlay of what you have versus what they don't. Emphasize what you have that they don't. I think that's a great way. And what are the benefits of them staying with you versus them? You don't have to say that they're terrible. Stay with us, they're terrible. But you say, stay with us, we're great. Emphasize what you're offering, the experiences they have on site, your hospitality. That in many respects, one of the ways businesses can differentiate themselves is through hospitality. I know I talk about this a lot. It probably comes up in every one of these conversations that we have, but hospitality is the true differentiator. It can cover up a lot of words. It can cover up a lot of other maybe negative things that happen. It can make up for the fact that maybe you don't have the same level of amenities that your competition does, but you offer them a personal, enjoyable experience that they're going to remember forever. And that is where you truly differentiate yourself versus the competition. If you get into a battle over ADR and amenities. You're just talking about stuff now, and let's talk more about the experience of when people are there. That's your differentiator.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense because I know that that is something that we talk about in the outdoor hospitality report, which is coming up here next month. But yeah, so it's really talking about experience and understanding, like, what is the guest experience overall versus, as you mentioned, just the stuff. So that leads me kind of to my last question here, which is, how does how do you leverage tools like AI into understanding the experience? And also, as a market research firm, how do you understand the experience just from a data collection perspective?
It's
From a business.
important to understand how the guest is going to use AI, for example, or how they're going to search for you, and that is there. It's not going to be just like a Google search anymore. It's much more detailed. It's much more like a conversation, and the guest is going to put in a lot more detail into their prompt than they would in a Google search. For example, if they're looking for a campground, say they have a family, so they may type in a prompt that says, "I'm looking for a campground in the Traverse City, Michigan area that is family friendly, offers pull-through RV sites that can accommodate a large Class A motorhome with a flat-toed Toyota Tacoma behind. And we want to stay for 4 to 5 days. We need a lot of activities for kids. We want to have a swimming pool, and we also want to do some wellness activities while we're there. Do you have it? Where should we stay in the Traverse City area?" And now that's a very realistic type of prompt that someone would type into AI. And if you don't have all those things that I just included on your website and in your communications, on your Facebook page, whatever mode of communication you're using, if you don't use that in your communications, again, I'll use your website is probably the most important part. But if those keywords aren't in there, if you don't include that type of information, AI is going to avoid you. You're not going to show up. And I would invite you to do that type of exercise, to go out and type that kind of prompt. Like, assume that you want to camp somewhere in your area, and this is what you want. Maybe what you think you're providing your guests. Do you show up? If you do, how does AI come back? You can have AI go out and search for guest reviews, and you can include that in there. Say, I want to choose an area that has good guest reviews. Give me an example of some of the good guest reviews and some of the bad guest reviews. And AI is going to return that for that person. And again, those are realistic prompts that people will use. So if you're not there, if you're not doing those things, and you're just assuming that you're going to use a list of keywords for your SEO, it's not adequate. It needs to be a lot more detailed, and you need to get a lot more content out there. You need to post regularly. You need to post a lot of information. You need to get it out there. And I would recommend hiring a good marketing person and a person who knows how to develop your website with AI in mind. I would ask those questions specifically, because that's how you are going to rise above the competition in this new world we live in, where more and more people are using AI to make their decisions and plan their trips.
Definitely. No, that's super helpful insight. I mean, I think that AI is kind of permeating into every industry. So yeah, it's interesting how we're going to leverage it going forward. So I guess, would you say that market research is probably more important now than ever, especially when it comes to understanding AI?
Absolutely. And it's more accessible than it ever has been too. You can do from your desktop a lot of your own research, and without hiring us. We prefer that you hired us, but you can do a lot on your own, and you can bring a lot of good questions to the table. And we're the ones who can step in and do some more of the advanced research with whether it's guests who live in your area, campers and so on, and look at how you sit within their mindset. It's the one thing that you cannot get from AI is, in many cases, is what is the mindset of the guest and the person who's looking for a place to stay. And that's where we come in. We come in and we can help you with identifying that mindset. Like, someone can just say, I don't know, I just had a bad vibe about one place or another, or I liked their logo. It can be something like that. Because you never know. I like the colors they used, and these things are very realistic. They happen every day. Again, that's part of the mix. But what we outlined here today is a way to get started with it and to put you ahead of the competition, hopefully, in terms of what you know and what you're going to do and what you can act on.
Awesome. No, that's super, super helpful. Thanks for that insight. Well, that's all I had for today. So thank you all for joining us today for another episode of Data Lens. Don't forget to leave a comment or a question for next week's episode. Hit that like button if you like what you see. And as always, subscribe so you never miss out. All right. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.